I'm Amy Zawi with the Jerusalem Connection Red Alert Report for April 22nd. What does a virus and anti-Semitism have in common? They are both infectious and deadly. An April 13th article in the Jerusalem Post by Cnaan Lipshiz reported that during a televised Easter message, a Catholic priest in Romania compared Jews to the coronavirus. The reference was part of an April 9th, broadcasted television message on national stations where Father Francisc Dobos, the spokesperson for the Archdiocese of Bucharest, is quoted as saying that despite disciples of Jesus, reading from a Christian Bible, feared the Jews. And here in a bracket, we should read, feared the virus. This is what he said. Well, let me point out that the disciples were actually Jewish themselves, and they were fearing the Roman guards as well as the Pharisees. This ill-fated attempt, so the priest claimed, was to compare the notions of fears that each felt. But it was connecting Jews to a killer virus, so it was wrong on all accounts. Maximillian Marco Katz, director of the MCA Romania Center for Monitoring and Combatting Antisemitism, responded, quote, "Unfortunately, what the listeners of your message will hear will bring a comparison between Jews and a killer virus. So the traditional religious anti-Semitism is passed down from generation to generation for over 2,000 years. Also in the Jerusalem Post on April 13th by Marcy Oster and reported elsewhere, 2 synagogues in Alabama were vandalized. The Chabad of Huntsville was spray painted with swastikas and what local media describes as anti-Semitic graffiti and racial slurs. This on April 9th. Surveillance video shows 2 suspects painting on the synagogue's property for about 20 minutes, defacing the driveway, garage doors, mailboxes, and more. On the Wednesday night before, the 8th, the Etzkheim Synagogue, a conservative congregation with about 60 families in South Huntsville, was also vandalized with neo-Nazi graffiti. During a time of stay-at-home orders and social distancing, it seems this attempt to spread hate backfired as the community of each location rallied in support to help clean up and send a message of solidarity. If the intention of a hate crime was to bring hate and division to our midst, he failed miserably. Instead, we have a wonderful showing of togetherness and love that I know is the true character of our community. Our friends and neighbors have been wonderful, and the community at large has certainly turned an act of hate into an outpouring love." This was written by Chabad directors Rabbi Moshe and Mushki Cohen on a post on Facebook Saturday night after the event, after the end of the 2 days of the Passover holiday Shabbat. As anti-Israel BDS, and let's just call it what it is, anti-Semitism continues, anti-Israel groups on college campuses use the coronavirus to attack Israel even when schools are not in session and students are using online formats to communicate and collaborate. A continued drumbeat of slander against Israel is ongoing online among college campus anti-Israel activists. According to an April 6 article by Ariel Baer in the Algemeiner, groups such as the Students for Justice in Palestine and others continue to claim that Israel is somehow responsible for the virus issues in Gaza and the PA. Varying forms of fault are set at Israel's feet, including sending the virus to the territories to begin with and then withholding help to mitigate it. Israel's coordinator for government activities in the territories on April 1st issued a statement that 145 tons of medical supplies were issued into Gaza the week before. As well, Israeli medical teams are training PA medical teams. The anti-Israel factions blame blockades for their ills, but failed to mention the entire reason the blockades are necessary in any kind of context. It is a proven threat that these terrorists pose to Israeli civilians, which makes the blockades necessary. It is impossible for Israel to remove these security measures that threaten the populations. Anti-Israel campus groups fail over and over to put any context to the reasons why civilians in Gaza live under such oppressive conditions and for the requirements of Israel and even in Egypt to employ severe security measures like they do. And what does Hamas do when they ask for help? Their leadership is quoted as saying, "If ventilators are not brought into Gaza, we will take them by force from Israel and stop the breathing of 6 million Jews." So this is how you ask for help. Those threats do nothing to help the people in Gaza, and they will not be mentioned, much less condemned, by those obsessed with demonizing Israel. Egypt also has its own blockades on Gaza for their security reasons. But when it comes to the coronavirus fears, neither Egypt nor Hamas, which governs the area, is ever blamed. Only Israel. Keep in mind the people of Gaza suffer, and many know it's their own leadership that put them into peril. More than 2/3 of Palestinians surveyed support, quote, cooperation between Israel and the Palestinians to prevent the spread of the virus. This according to a Palestinian Center for Public Opinion poll. This goes against the narrative that the groups such as If Not Now, Jewish Force for Peace, and Students for Justice in Palestine consistently push. And they push it onto college campuses where future leaders are being educated. More than that, let's look at the response of Israel haters to the deaths of Israelis from COVID-19. Israel's first coronavirus death was an 88-year-old Holocaust survivor named Arya Evan. David Collier, a British activist and blogger whom I've referenced before in my reports, noted a response to the tragic death. He posted an internet screenshot of anti-Zionist activists celebrating the death of the Holocaust survivor. Quote, now tell me again that anti-Zionism isn't anti-Semitism. This is the sickening way that some have received the news of the death of a Holocaust survivor on Twitter. The PA and anti-Israel anti-Semites cannot have it both ways, relying on Israel to save them while they continue to rally to annihilate the Israelis. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Thank God he remains on his throne, and he's overseeing it all. We are his hands and his feet, and we rely on his guidance and providence and mercy. It is our duty not to be anxious or afraid, and I know this can be difficult, but it is our duty. Joshua 1:9 says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Shavua Tov, and have a great week.